Hey guys, Video Master here. Yeah, this is kind of a rant thing of a video that I just watched, the Nostalgia Critic's review of Sailor Moon. Now, I'm not doing this because I'm, Moony or whatever they call the fans. I'm pretty sure it's a Moony. It's not because, it's not because like I'm some rabid fan of the show. I'm like, oh my god, he's so totally wrong, and he can't say that, and I'm gonna... No. It's not anything like that. People can hate the show, and he brought up a lot of good points about problems with the show. And by the way, if you hear the fan going, I'm sorry, it's hot in this room, I'm not turning it off. Not for a rant video. But, okay, back on topic though. From what I understand, he watched like a little bit of it while he was younger, and nothing else. And like, I mean, I guess he went back and did some review, like some reviewing of it to get like a refresher course of it, but it wasn't enough because there is so much more to the show that he doesn't address, and that's my issue here. It's like, okay, some of the stuff he's bringing up, the whole thing about, yeah, the 14-year-old girls in the transformation thing, blah blah blah, yeah, that's a Japan thing that's always been a bit of a problem. And the stuff that he mentions about that's gone on in Japan, yeah, that's been a problem for a while. I don't know, just like the transformation scenes, I was just like, whatever. I got used to it. By this point, I'd already seen like Robotech and Dragon Ball and stuff, so I was just like, whatever. I mean, for those of you who still do not know, who don't know my whole history with Sailor Moon, I actually hated the show when it first came out. When I first saw anything about it, I despised this show. We had like a local channel where I grew up. It was called C43, and they just had random animation and stuff that they would play. And one of the shows they aired was Ronin Warriors, and that was like one of my favorite things. I would come home from school, I would have it recorded, and I'd watch Ronin Warriors. I think it came on like 4:30 or 5 or something like that. And I loved the show, and they played through the show like once, and they started playing it again. I don't know if they actually got to the end of it the second time. I think they did. I know that they started playing it at one point and then they just stopped. And instead they started playing Sailor Moon. And at the time I was pissed off because Sailor Moon took over Ronin Warriors, and I was like, I've seen the dolls and crap of this in the stores. You're gonna get rid of my Ronin Warriors for this crap? No. And I walked away. Then I think like a year later or something, there was this channel called like the USA Express or something. I don't even know if that channel's still around, but they had like the USA Cartoon Express, and I remember those because it was like they had like the real Ghostbusters and stuff that used to play there, and they started playing Mighty Max, which at the time I had not recorded from C43 that used to play it, so I started recording Mighty Max, and it was like, I think it went like Mighty Max, Sailor Moon, then Gargoyles. And I would sit there and I would set my VCR to record Mighty Max and Gargoyles, but not Sailor Moon. The problem, though, is that was causing our VCR to start recording for a half hour, stop, and start recording again after a half hour. And because of the way the commercials and stuff worked, a lot of the times you would miss some of the show, like some of the minutes of the other two shows. So eventually I just started saying, screw it, I'm just going to have it record the entire thing. Or like, I think my mom or something, when she set it up, she just recorded the entire block of that stuff. And so Sailor Moon started getting it on the tapes. And I figured, well, I've already got it on the tape, I'm going to watch it. And I ended up falling in love with the show. And so for me, I can say the reason the formula worked is because it's not what the Nostalgia Critic is trying to tell you it is. There was more to the formula than that. He didn't go into it, and that's what really pisses me off about this fucking review, is that he doesn't even try to address this stuff. And I know it's the Nostalgia Critic, okay, so you can just all shut up about that right now. I know that the point is to make fun of it, is to make you laugh, but even the Nostalgia Critic, he generally is fact accurate, or at the very end, he says like his very own opinions, but he just throws out so much misinformation on this. Now, I'm not going to nitpick too much about some of the sillier things, like the whole thing where Sailor Moon transforms and nobody can tell it's her. yeah, that's pretty silly. It does have an explanation, but unless you're really into the show, you're not going to get this information. So you just walking into it and watching an episode, you're going to be like, the fuck is this shit? But yeah, there is an explanation. At some point, they see each other, as scouts. Like, Sailor Venus meets Sailor Mars and Jupiter while they're scouts, and they decide to meet up while in civilian form, and they can't recognize each other, and they realize that there's this type of magic that happens when they transform that prevents people from recognizing who they are. So yeah, there's an explanation for it, but come on, it's like in one episode out of the many seasons, so if you don't know that, you're not going to know that. You're just going to look at this and say, this looks silly. And I have to completely agree. It's the whole Superman Clark Kent thing. It's like, how the fuck do you not realize who this is? But that aside, I obviously did not care for, well, I guess I can't really say obviously because you wouldn't know. But no, I did not care for the whole thing. He was like, oh, the Sailor Scouts have like the personalities of the Spice Girls or Hanson. Like, their personalities are so much better than that, but I just chalked that up to, oh, that's just a Nostalgia Critic joke, whatever. Because, like, you know, that was actually one of the points of the show, though, that made it so interesting. And, like, he did mention that, you know, they gave Serena a personality, he just didn't like it. And not a lot of people liked Serena's personality. Hell, not a lot of people liked Rini's personality, and I really liked Rini, mainly for the fact that she acted like an actual little girl, and not like the Hollywood little girls, which is one of the things that he always complains about, which is why I find it kind of funny that he makes no mention of that, but from what I'm guessing, he watched a little bit of the first season and then quit. Because he's making shit like, you know, oh, the formula is this, and Tuxedo Max saved them, and Serena never figures out who he is. Ha ha, yeah, no. She finds out who he is, and that's one of the big things of the fucking show. Okay? And I know you know this. So, I don't know, I get that. That's probably just another one of the Nostalgia Critic jokes. It's like, well, the formula never, you know, but... So, it's just, the little things like that kind of annoy me, because I don't think he gave the show the proper thing it needed to. It's like, it's fine that he doesn't like the show. It's fine that people don't like fucking My Little Pony, and anybody who's sitting there saying, no, everybody must like My Little Pony, you're fucking stupid, okay? I'm sorry. You need to get over it. Not everybody needs to like a fucking show that you like. I don't like Doctor Who, so all of you people who are like, but you have to watch Doctor Who. No, I don't like it. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't. I watched the first 3 episodes of the reboot with Dr. Nine, and I was just like, eh. So it happens. People do not like shows that you're gonna like. And I have no problem with Nostalgia Critic not liking this show, but what I did not care for in this review is the simple fact that he just brushes off so much that I really feel should have been addressed. It's like, why did this work when the formula is so generic? Because there is so much more to it. There's a lot more subtle things that you didn't address. Like, yeah, Serena is a brat. She's kind of selfish, and she likes to pig out and everything, but when it gets right down to it, she's got a heart of gold, and that was what made me like Serena. It's like, if you're sitting there and if you're sitting there and you've got like a ton of cookies, and she sees them, she's like, I want the cookies, and she would probably do that. And if you were just to give her the cookies, she'd be happily munching them, but say she turns a corner, and there's a couple of like little kids sitting there sad because they finished their cookies or something, now they don't have any more, Serena would give them some of the cookies. Even though she just threw a big ass fit to get them, she would give them some of the cookies. So that's just how Serena is. When it gets right down to it, she can't ignore something like that. And that was one of the things that really made me like the show. All of the characters were like this. I mean, Ray worked very hard to the point that she wasn't having a lot of fun, and Serena would drag her to go have like fun or to relax sometimes, or just be impressed with how much she worked. And that made Ray feel better about herself and open up more. I'm not really sure how to put that, but it helped Ray. Like, Amy, my favorite of the Scouts, is, just a bookworm. And that's literally all she does. She's like the achiever. She goes to the special classes, she does all the extra credit and all of that. and she just reads books all the time. She doesn't really socialize. And Serena's like, you can't do that. You have to put the book down sometimes. Like, we're at the, like, there's a really nice thing in a movie, in the first movie R, where they're having flashbacks of stuff that Serena's done to help them. And like, Amy's reading a book at the beach, and Serena's like, you're at the beach, you're not going to spend it reading a book. And Amy's like, you're right, we should go have fun. It's like, stuff like that. So, like, Serena would be there for her friends. Yeah, she would sit there and she would do all of these annoying things, but she would sit there and beg them for stuff, or she would, you know, pester them, or things like that. But if one of them were in a jam, she would be there. And that's what made me like this show. That was one of the things about the show that made it work. And this is not mentioned in the review, and this is why it pisses me off. There was a whole bunch of stuff like that. It was like all of them had problems. They all had character flaws, and by coming together, they were able to overcome those flaws. And Serena, in the way that she was who helped all of them. She's the one who helped them get over the flaws. Like, Lita could pretty much take anyone, and it's like she was able to wrestle and martial arts and everything, and everybody saw her as this really scary girl, and Serena was just like, oh cool, you've got cookies, and she didn't care that Lita could do all that stuff. She thought it was awesome. So, like, that was the thing. It was pretty much the show about friendship before, you know, Magic is Friendship, the pony thing. And that's, well, of course, another reason why I ended up liking the pony show, because Sailor Moon. And there was just so much, like, I've said that probably so much. I could start a drinking game with how many times I've said, there was so much more to it. I know that part of my inner fanboy is coming out, and I know that I'm just saying things like, but it was such a good show. It's like, I don't expect him to like it. It's just, I really feel that this review was unflattering to the point that it just paints a very poor picture of the show. The review can be funny, and you can sit there and say, this sucked, and I didn't care for this, but you have to give proper facts. And he pretty much admits that he watched a little bit of it as a kid, and he doesn't remember much. It's like he was watching when he was like 14 or something, and like the whole thing, just, you can't do that. Like, he's sitting here watching all of Avatar: The Last Airbender so he can review the movie, and he wouldn't review the Digimon series because Jess Otaku was like, well, you need to know enough about it. You need to know enough about Sailor Moon in order to review it. You can't just do this and then pop out a review and say, well, that's it, that's the show, because it's not. And that's, like, I'm very disappointed with this review. I mean, I'm not gonna, like, this vlog is just the only thing I want to say about it. I wanted to get my thoughts out, like a kind of a second opinion. This is a fan's reaction of this review, and I'm trying to give you a little bit more of the story. I don't have all of the special effect stuff that he can do, but he didn't give it its proper explanation. He didn't state enough facts. He didn't really go into what made the show popular. He just sat there and said, well, you know, rinse and repeat, the animation, and, well, they changed up a little bit here and there, and that's why it worked, and blah, blah, blah. And that's not why it worked. It worked because it was a show that when you really look at it and you actually pay attention and watch it, there's a lot more going on than what's on the surface. Now, if you're trying to say, why did people watch it in the first place? Yeah, that might work, what you said. Maybe. But that's not all there was. And a lot of people picked up on this very fast. That was why I fell in love with this show, because I started realizing there's more to this show than I thought. This is not just girl sees monster, does something, defeats monster. No, there's actually a story arc going on behind all of the scenes, and I want to know what it is. And that was why I kept watching the show. So maybe there needs to be a follow-up. It was like, okay, so why do people keep watching Sailor Moon? This would be why. What he did, he made a good review. There's some great jokes in there, and you'll probably enjoy it for those. There were some jokes I could have personally done without the whole 14-year-old flashback. But, ugh, an image that I do not ever want in my mind. So, but there was some great jokes. There were some great jokes in there. The whole thing with, there's like, why do they always attack the same town? This is like anime cliche classic stuff. It's like, why don't they go attack America or something? Why are they attacking this one town where all the Sailor Scouts are? It makes no sense. Like, problem is, like, this is not like Power Rangers. Like, Power Rangers did the same damn thing. It was always, they could beam places, but it was always the same. It was always Angel Grove. I'm like, send a monster down over there. So yeah, that's just one of those things that's like, oh well, that's just the formula. And you kind of have to overlook that. And that, making fun of that stuff, that's perfectly fine. But everything else, I really, like I've said in I've broken record, I really did not care for the fact that he did not go into enough information on the show. He hardly talks about any of the other scouts. Like, he just chalks them up as, well, they had personalities as akin to Hanson. Yeah, no, they didn't. The whole thing with Sailor... Yeah, there was a Sailor Uranus, and they pronounced it Sailor Uranus to get over that. So it wasn't, they weren't going around saying, Sailor Uranus, they were saying, Sailor Uranus, which, probably not really that much better, but they tried, and I'm really surprised he didn't try to say anything about that, but it's probably because he didn't fucking know, because he didn't know enough about the show to be reviewing it. You need to know about the show to review it. Suki and I met that problem when we did our friggin' Friendship is Magic review, that 40-minute long video that's unfortunately no longer up online. I'll probably never go back up online either. There's no point to it now. But we made some statements that weren't true. But then again, we had just sat down and we were just talking the shit pretty much. We didn't put the effort that the Nostalgia Critic puts into his videos, and he puts in a lot of effort. So, that's why he's really, really up there, and we'll never be anywhere near that. It's like, I'm not mad at the Nostalgia Critic or anything. I'm not saying don't watch his videos or some stupid ass shit like that. But I am disappointed in this particular review. He did not do the research. Not enough, at least. And that's really all I can think of to say at this point. It's just, there was just so much more. Like, as it went on, yeah, they dragged out storylines. There's the whole thing with Serena and Darian and the whole, like, okay, we can get together, we can't get together, and blah, 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 blah. But it was like a lot of the backstory stuff that happens as the series progresses was actually very interesting, and a lot of the times it was handled rather well. And there were actually some more adultish issues in here, even if the Americanized version tried to skim over them. And yeah, I mean, if I really wanted to nitpick, I could start nitpicking, like the whole thing with the transformation pen. It can make you, it can change you into anything. It's like they never give any limitations, yeah, but they never exactly say it can change you into any form, just it can change you into anything, and changing into any costume, any type of clothing is what she does. So pretty much if you realize that it's limited to clothing, yeah, she can use it to change into anything. So yeah, that's like one of those nitpick things I could do. It's like, yeah, whatever, I know what he was going for, and it worked for the joke. But I had to say this. I had to rant about this. I'm not happy with this video. I mean, it's not like, oh, it's free entertainment, so what am I going to do? I mean, I watched it, I didn't care for it. I just made this video to try to say, I had my problems with this. That's really about it that I can do. I'm not going to go on the video and comment on it. I'm not going to try to email him or anything. I'm not even going to show him that I did this video, because he's not going to care. But, yeah, like, if you haven't seen Sailor Moon and you don't know what it is, do not take the Nostalgia Critic's word for it. I mean, I know that should go without saying, not to take the Nostalgia Critic's word for anything he reviews, but he really dropped the ball in this one. At least in my opinion. So that's pretty much it. I'm gonna get back to working on things that I should have been working on rather than making this video, but I figured if I waited, a lot of what I remembered from the review would have whoop, because I'm getting to that age, I guess. So yeah, I'm a big Sailor Moon fan, and there's more to the thing than that. And I would do my own review if I had the time and I had the skills, but I really don't. I'm just like, I like it though. I think there's a lot of more deeper meanings than you got out of there. So anyway, I've repeated enough of the nonsense over and over and over again to the point that you're probably sick of hearing me talk. So I'm gonna get back to work. I'll see you guys all later. Thanks for listening to a fanboy ramble, I guess. Bye.